Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on Unscripted. I'm your host, Josh Mansour, and like always, please hit that button, subscribe across all... start again. Fucking hell. Keep this in. This is the fucking bloopers. Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on Unscripted. I'm your host, Josh Mansour, and like always, hit that subscribe button and follow us across all platforms. Your support is greatly appreciated. And like always, I fucked it.
Where did you go wrong?
Yeah, I fucked it. I fucked it. You didn't hear me fuck it?
No, I didn't hear anything wrong.
What, you hear it better this time. I'm so excited for this podcast. Clearly, I'm very antsy. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on Unscripted. I'm your host, Josh Mansour, and like always, hit that subscribe button and follow us across all platforms. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today, I've got episode 2 with my good man, Moodi Dennaoui, who's taking the time to dive into a couple of topics. I think we're going to touch on testosterone, the top 5 trending peptides, and of course, a bit of training regime, how to balance cardio with strength training, and who else and what else?
I learned that the top 5 were not the top 5 that I thought they were.
Really?
Yeah, they were different. I didn't think it was Semax.
Really?
Yeah. I had no idea, but that's interesting.
Well, let's talk about that. We'll get to that. I think the
new
first...
call is cognitive functioning.
Cognitive functioning?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's people in future, I've noticed, are going to start talking about, just as often as they talk about their physical performance or their aesthetics, their mental acuity. How are you, not just how are you so jacked or how are you so ripped, but how are you so sharp? How are you so on during the day?
I think a lot of that would probably, if you're talking about sports, one sport that comes to mind is Formula One, drivers. So they'll obviously have to be...
Tennis as well.
Tennis, tennis. Yeah. We're seeing the rise of paddle now, so you probably can put paddle in that category. Boxing maybe as well.
Sports psychologists would, I think if this was approved, they'd be prescribing it to everyone. But then they wouldn't have a job.
Well, I think that's where professional sports are now really diving deeper into creatine because of the effects on the cognitive performance. So anyway.
They don't want you to be functioning as well if your
quick between
testosterone
these
is optimal and your cognitive functioning is optimal, then that affects big pharma.
Are you a big fan of the enhanced games?
Man, it's interesting. How can I diss it? I love James. I've worked with James for the Olympics.
Besides your relationship put your relationship aside.
Okay, his relationship aside, the numbers don't lie. His resting heart rate is like in the 30s.
Wow.
Come on, man. I even training twice a day, my resting heart rate, granted I'm almost 50, would be 52, 53.
So when you say resting heart rate, are you talking about resting heart rate when he's sleeping or when he's just up and about?
Just in a calmative state.
Yeah, okay.
Whether it be during the day or in the evening, or
mine's like
best way to measure it is through like something like an Oura ring in the evening or a Whoop or any other form of measure.
Well, that's how I was tracking mine. So I track my sleep.
We drop those names so they can give us a sponsorship.
That would be great. But of course, I track mine through when I'm sleeping, and my resting heart rate was the lowest it's ever been is 42.
That's excellent.
That's me retired.
That's excellent. But the numbers don't lie. Like if.
But for an average person, wouldn't that concern you though? For the average person, obviously, my background.
The message, because what happens online, the reason why the average person is the average. When I look at the average person, it's the average person online. It's the average person, and that's where people got it wrong with the last episode. They thought that I had an issue with peptides. They thought that I believed that they had no place in society. Peptides improve what the body is capable of doing anyway. Things like testosterone have super physiological effects at large doses, but the problem that I had that we didn't elaborate on was that the information is skewed
for sure
in an optimistic way because nobody talks about the cons; they only talk about the benefits.
Of course,
they talk about the pros. Okay, healing. The way they talk about BPC 157 and TB 500, the Wolverine stack, they talk about it like you're going to become that lead actor from Deadpool. Right, you're going to get shot and the wounds are just going to close, which is not the case.
It's a marketing ploy.
It is very, very effective. And since even the last conversation that we had in this one, how many months was it apart?
Oh, jeez. What do you reckon, Josie? How far?
Wasn't
3 months? Yeah, okay.
It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
There's new data since then.
Yeah, well.
but much needed data, because although the studies on these compounds were predominantly on animals, mice, and there were some clinical trials on human beings, although anecdotal, which means for the person who's not well versed in science, that's fine. I'm not well versed in how to change a light bulb. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And so, if it's anecdotal evidence, it means that, Tom, Dick, or Abdul did the cycle for 6 to 12 weeks,
Yeah.
and he published the results based on his experience.
Yep.
So it's not a longitudinal study on a large database of 1,000 people where the gender was split 50-50 and there was a diversity of age brackets.
Does that concern you?
No, because it excites me, because it makes me think, what would longitudinal studies produce, and how hard government bodies going to get involved in trying to prevent us from taking these compounds. Because you got to remember, the companies that make Mounjaro and Ozempic have a lot of money behind them. To give you an idea, they're patented products, yeah?
Of course.
With peptides, you can add a compound, such as with CJC, add ipamorelin. You can't patent that. It's not going to affect them. They won't want to drag it through court. It's too expensive. So what's easier is to ban it, because they can just pay someone who runs the FDA in the United States to ban it. Give him an envelope under the table. He's going to ban it. The guy that runs the FDA at the moment lately has been tweeting more about banning peptides than talking about the issues that we have from diabetes and weight gain. Your issue as the leader of the FDA should be, your concern should be longevity for human beings and improving the quality of life of people by getting rid of the issues of cholesterol and type 2 diabetes.
Well, there's an obesity crisis in America.
Right, so if you're now, you tweet twice as much about what you're going to ban versus what you should be doing as a government body to help people, then I start to question your ethics now. And what's your agenda behind it? If they are beneficial, without contraindications, under doctor supervision, if they are beneficial and they're going to help people tackle a lot of the issues that they are suffering from with modernity, which is obesity and everything that comes with obesity. Because with obesity comes cholesterol, comes type 2 diabetes, comes infertility, right? Not being able to function, divorce rates become high. Everything, society as a whole, breaks down when people are sick and unwell. If you don't care about that, then
your intentions aren't pure. But I think with obesity, it's a combination of many problems. Like, obviously, as the years go on, I feel like we're living more comfortable.
We're more sedentary.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not as active.
The rise
take
of
the escalators.
The rise of fast food chains going around, the way they market their own restaurants and their food, and
we're not eating food, we're eating pseudo
food.
But
it's not only that as well. It's the lack of time that people have, particularly in this country. Like right now, people...
We sabotage our time. We check our phone 90 times per day. 90 times per day.
Yeah,
our
ridiculous.
cortisol is through the roof. We experience 365 days of stress in 24 hours since the invention of the smartphone. I'm thinking of going back to a Nokia.
And then now we've got terms like you've got tech neck from the physio.
I've never even heard about that.
That's just recent,
I was doing a class the other day. My knees were playing up. I did the entire class standing. I was thinking about getting a standing test.
Wow.
Standing desk, sorry. I'm going to put the phone on silent.
Yeah, because I know you're a busy man. Well, let's talk about our first topic today, which is kind of pretty much target most of my male-dominant audience, testosterone. So obviously one of the key foundations of the male body. There's been a significant drop in testosterone in the last 10, 20 years. Is that fair to say?
Beyond significant.
Okay.
In the last, every decade, it's getting worse.
And what do you point to?
Testosterone affects fertility.
Correct.
Like, too much testosterone makes you infertile, but a lack of testosterone also makes you infertile. And testosterone is not just sex drive, libido, and biceps. That's what people believe.
Associate with it.
Testosterone is literally responsible for you being a healthy man. You having healthy bone density, you having low levels of visceral fat around your organs so that you're not prone to diseases, you having a low level of body fat around the subcutaneous fat, which ideally should be below 15%, not too low, because then that starts to affect your testosterone as well. But test levels, and that's what really pisses me off when you look at blood tests. But you're within the range. Man, every time I look at the range over the last 2 decades, the range gets small, like lower and lower. It becomes harder to become an outlier. I remember checking my test levels once. I think I was overtraining in my early 20s. My test levels were like, I won't mention the name of the boxer, but he was a ranked top 2 in the world at the time. And in WBA, I think in WBC as well. And his test levels came back at like 5 and mine were like 8.
What's a normal range? What's a normal range?
Back then it was between 13 and 30. And now it's between 6 and 26.
And why have they changed that?
The national average just keeps getting worse. So what are you comparing yourself to? Why are we comparing ourselves to the lower end of the spectrum, or what society has become? Why not compare your test levels to what the average male testosterone level was in 1953?
And what was that?
A lot higher. Like men were closer to, in free testosterone, closer to 700 than 300. Now 300 is the norm, even for a young man.
Wow.
Which is, you're not talking about issues from a physiological perspective only. You're talking about now you're going to start suffering medical issues. You need medical help rather than just lifestyle help. There's a very, very big difference between tackling things from a lifestyle perspective and now I'm forced to address this because of a medical issue. You know, there are very, very big differences. I'll give you an example. For instance, you do a blood test, you come back and your test levels are not optimal.
Yep.
I say, Josh, what's your sleep like? We have all the important conversations first that people neglect and go straight to jabbing. What's your sleep like? What's your diet like? What's your hydration like? How do you exercise? Do you promote healthy testosterone by the way that you exercise, by imposing stress through resistance training to force your body to say, hang on a second, I need more testosterone for repair? And if you're doing all of these things correctly and you're still an outlier in a negative fashion, then okay, we need to address it for medical purposes, because you've done all the lifestyle changes. You've implemented all the lifestyle changes that you can, and to no avail, it hasn't worked. And now we need to address it from a medical perspective, because it's going to start to affect your bone density. You'll get early onset of osteoporosis, makes you more prone to breaks and falls. You'll suffer from an immune perspective. You'll start suffering
fertility.
Fertility will be shot. Libido will be shot. A lot of the time, you'll notice testosterone level total is okay, free testosterone is low, and something called SHBG will be higher, sex hormone binding globulin. And when sex hormone binding globulin is high, you've got testosterone there, but it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, because it's being pulled back by the amount of estrogen that's in your body. And we need estrogen as well, the female hormone. We just don't need as much of it as a woman does.
Of course.
And they need testosterone, just not as much of it as we do.
It's an important topic because I'll be completely honest with you. Before my youngest daughter's birth, we were trying, me and my wife, and probably for maybe a year and a half, and she just wouldn't fall pregnant. We were following all the, the whole process, when she's ovulating, all that kind of stuff. And my wife fell pregnant in the first 2-3 months when we were trying. Anyway, we got to a month and a half, and we kind of said to ourselves, okay, there's something wrong here. There has to be something wrong. So I put the hand up. I go, listen, I'm happy to go get tested, check my sperm count and whatnot, as you do. Yeah. And my sperm count just completely fell off the cliff.
Do you remember what it was?
It was no, I don't. I don't remember the exact number. But
30 million, 20 million, 10 million, below 10 million?
I think it was below 30 million.
If it was below 10, it's a significant issue.
Yes.
The average 10 is considered on the lower end.
Yeah.
But then again, that's not the only variable. When it comes to semen analysis, there are variables called motility and morphology. We weren't planning to talk about this, but it's directly correlated anyway. Yeah. Do you remember did they give you a number for that?
I'm sure I'm pretty sure it was below 10 million. I'm pretty sure.
How about in terms of motility and morphology? Did they give you a number? Did they say 2%, 50%, 40%? You can't recall.
The only thing I remember, the doctor saying was, if we were to go down the natural path, my wife probably had like a 1% chance of falling pregnant naturally. So the positives were that
Well, if they said 1%,
Yeah.
that means you would have been below 10 million.
Yep.
Because a healthy male is between 30 to 40 million.
Yep.
10 million is based on the lowest end of the outlier, or the range, not
Yep.
outlier, the lowest end of the range, right? Now, based on the lowest end of the range, this will blow your mind. And this was never the case until fast food, smartphones, stress, cortisol, all the rest. Modernity kicked in, semen count and quality and efficiency went down in terms of motility and shape, which is the morphology. Based on the lower end of the range, let's say the range is 10 million to 40 million. The lowest end of the range is 10 million. Now, when they say less than 1%, that means less than 100,000. Now, if you've got 100,000 semen, you can still have a baby because you only need one.
Correct.
But your chances are very, very slim, especially if the quality of the swimmers are very, very low.
Yeah.
Now, the average, this will blow your mind, the average male sperm count by 2045 will be less than 1%.
No way.
No, I didn't say 3045, 2045.
Mate, we're almost
19
there.
years.
Well, yeah,
Less than 1%. So
that's alarming.
if that's not going to contribute to, a lesser population, yeah, it's scary. It's scary what we're facing. But that's where understanding testosterone is so important. Where I've been to an endocrinologist for myself. I've had friends that go to endocrinologists, but also consult scientists who are experts, not doctors, but experts in this topic, which is testosterone replacement therapy. I've got a friend of mine on the other side of Australia who had a very high count, but motility and morphology was quite bad. So it was like 40 million, 38 million, but motility, morphology, 1%.
Wow.
With a little bit of microdosing of TRT, and TRT, guys, for the average bloke who's at the gym who thinks taking a mill a week of testosterone is TRT, it's not. That's a cycle.
So what's TRT
Just thought I'd
stand
throw it
for?
out there.
What's TRT?
TRT is testosterone replacement therapy, microdosing testosterone in very small amounts to reach the normal range, not to create what's called supraphysiological effects. And he microdosed testosterone. I'm talking about real microdosing, where you're spreading a meal out over a month, not a week.
And how many times you consume that throughout that period?
If you can be bothered, you should be doing it every day.
Okay. How much a day? 1 mil?
Nowhere near. This dude was on 0.04.
Wow.
So super microdose, yeah. But also balancing the other fertility medications such as HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, Pregnal, it's called. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, because those two hormones are the ones that communicate with your testes to produce sperm. Now, with changing the protocol, his count went down to 1 million, which is really low, but the quality went up to beyond 80%.
See,
and
I didn't
within
have
2 months, his missus was pregnant.
I never had an issue with quality, but
It was quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different for everyone.
Yeah. Which I found, and I'm happy to put myself out there, but I just couldn't make sense of it all because I wasn't someone that, drank. Obviously on the odd occasion.
That's the other thing that people don't realise. Even if you just drink once a week, man, it destroys the lining of the testes that contain what is required to produce healthy semen. So the lining of the testicles, where is very critical when it comes to being able to produce healthy semen, and alcohol destroys that.
Okay.
Even, I'm not talking about people who go to the pub every day, even the weekend drinker, even the person who has a glass of wine after dinner. And now the results show that, because a lot of people are big on, resveratrol and antioxidants and wine. A piece of dark chocolate is better than drinking wine 7 days a week.
Yeah,
but it destroys you. But you don't drink, you don't do all this stuff.
Well, I wasn't a smoker. I'm not a smoker. I had a pretty good diet. I looked after myself. The only thing that I could put my finger to was stress. So this is a period just when I retired from footy, or maybe it was actually my last year at South. So it was a pretty dark time for myself, and my sleep quality was very poor. Had a
If
very.
you're not asleep between 11 and 1, you can't produce.
I was asleep before that, believe it or not. But say I'll get up during the night to go to the toilet. I'll
can't
go
go back
back.
to
I
sleep.
can't go back to sleep because my mind's just playing.
cortisol.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was my issue. My number one issue was my cortisol levels must have been through the roof, and obviously high cortisol affects
It does.
everything. Affects my mood.
Cortisol predominantly affects, and that's what the other thing that people don't understand is when they take peptides and things like that. Yes, you get all the great effects of increased activity of the pituitary gland, better growth hormone production, which means less body fat, more muscle growth, waking up feeling nice and refreshed. It's amazing. But nobody talks about, see how the public opinion is skewed because of what you're watching online. It's all about what's positive.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But with CJC1295, with growth hormone, with IGF-1, what also increases is cortisol and prolactin. It's another another hormone that is produced in the brain. Now, these hormones affect your sex drive and your mood. If your sex drive and your mood is affected, usually your cortisol's high at the wrong time. Now, people get this. That's where people get confused when it comes to understanding cortisol at its essence. Cortisol is something that every human being needs to be alive. Cortisol isn't the enemy. We just don't want cortisol at night. We want high cortisol in the morning. Believe it or not, that's why people expose their eyes to the sun, do cold showers and cold plunges. It's to increase cortisol because that increases your mental acuity and your focus and your concentration. It's not to suppress cortisol. We want cortisol in the morning. That's why when you do a blood test, if you're checking cortisol in the blood test, there'll be a time attached to it because the time has a specific, the time also has a range. So there's a healthy range based on the time that you did your blood test because cortisol should be between a certain range in the morning and a certain range in the afternoon.
But we do know cortisol affects testosterone levels
Of course,
as well.
yeah, of course.
So what ways can I enhance testosterone?
Natural ways to enhance
Natural,
testosterone?
holistic ways, yes, correct.
Most effective, believe it or not supplements.
Not
The
something.
most effective are not supplements. There are some supplements that have research-based evidence behind them, but the most effective ways are lifestyle changes. One,
Sleep.
resistance training,
Yes.
exposing yourself to, lifting. And when I say heavy lifting, the word heavy is relative. What I might find heavy, you might find light, and vice versa. So heavy lifting, there's got to be a reason why your body needs testosterone. You've got to give it a reason. And we've become more sedentary, so the brain is like, and the body's saying, why do I need to produce this if I don't really need access to it?
When you say resistance training, are we talking more strength training in the gym?
Compound lifts.
Compound lifts.
Compound lifting.
Not cardiovascular,
No,
not
even
running.
long term. Long bouts of cardio for long periods of time, done daily, drops testosterone too.
I heard that.
So if you do, you'll notice that a lot of people that do marathons suffer from that. So if you do really long cardio sessions, low intensity, steady state, too prolonged, let's say for a year at a time, testosterone drops, cortisol rises. As a male, if you want testosterone to be higher, you need to do a little bit, you need to balance low intensity, steady state with high intensity interval training. So sprints, sprint, walk, sprint, walk, sprint, walk. Whether you do that on the Aerodyne or whether you do it on the
Treadmill?
treadmill or on the cross trainer or the
Ski
elliptical,
erg.
whatever. But that type of cardio is more effective for testosterone. The other one is sleep. If you're not asleep between 11 and 1, if you don't have, and that's the thing, it's not, so you were saying you sleep early, your test was still low, or your sperm count was still low. It's not about sleeping early. It's about getting ready for sleep from the moment you wake up. Sleep, a good deep sleep doesn't come from, a relaxing video that you watch 10 minutes before bed on YouTube. It's a dark, no lights in the room, no blue lights in the room, a cool room.
Yep.
Because the brain needs to drop by 2 degrees Celsius, approximately 1 or 2 degrees, to get nice deep sleep. That's not going to happen if the room's humid. And to prepare your brain to drop in temperature and to have the hormone that it needs to sleep deeply, which is melatonin,
Yep.
you need to start preparing for that in the morning. Melatonin doesn't just appear from nothing. You can't create melatonin from nothing. You might take melatonin as a supplement, but how do you produce or increase your own melatonin production? You got to increase the neurotransmitter serotonin. How do you increase serotonin, which is the happy chemical? Makes you feel good during the day, and then at night serotonin is converted into melatonin. But to get serotonin, you got to eat a protein-rich diet, specifically a diet that's rich in tryptophan, found in yogurt, eggs, whole eggs, things like that.
Speaking of eggs, sorry to cut you off. I counted how many eggs a week. You know what? How many eggs you reckon I consume a week? How many eggs you reckon?
35?
You're pretty much very close. Between 30 and 40 eggs I'm consuming a day. So every morning I'm having 4 eggs.
Yeah. And your cholesterol's fine, yeah?
Fine.
Yeah, there's no correlation between the two.
Well, to be fair, I have never in my life checked my cholesterol levels.
You should. Everyone should be checking.
Yeah, I know.
Or getting a decent blood test every 3 months. And just to put things into perspective, things can change for the better or for the worse in 6 weeks. That's why if a doctor gives you a referral to get a blood test before seeing a specialist, let's say you make the appointment for the specialist, but you get the blood test immediately, but you don't see the specialist for 6 weeks. The specialist will look at your blood test and say, hang on a second, you did this 6 weeks ago. It's no longer valid. I need a fresh one.
Yes.
Go and come back. Because in 6 weeks, you can get rid of type 2 diabetes, all the cholesterol problems, get off the drugs associated with them, such as, whether it be metformin or Diabex or Lipitor, Crestor, and you can get rid of all of that stuff in 6 weeks, less. So you can improve, but you can also regress. Things can go really bad in 6 weeks. If you go 6 weeks put it this way, 1 week of bad sleep, 1 week of not sleeping your 7 to 9 hours, which is what every human being should be getting at least. If you're not getting 7 to 9 hours for a week, male testosterone drops by 10 to 15%. 10 to 15% in 7 days.
That's crazy.
So can you imagine what a 3 months of bad sleep will do to you?
Hydration as well.
1 year of bad sleep can age you up to 10 years.
Fuck.
1 year. You can't make up for that, by sleeping on a Sunday. People think that 6 days of poor sleep, I'll have a good sleep in on Sunday, I'll catch up. No, you got a debt. That debt's got to be paid off. And if you don't pay it off, you're going to feel it. You're going to suffer.
I'm pretty sure hydration is very important as well when it comes to training or, everyday life
Organ
chores.
function, when organ function is optimal, hormone production is optimal. And for organ function to be optimal, you need to be hydrated. You need your 30 mils per kilogram of body weight. You need to be hydrating. If I have a coffee, I need to compensate for that. If I catch a flight, I need to compensate for that. If I train, I need to make sure that I'm drinking water, and that water does not count to my recommended daily water intake.
Of course.
It's separate. I need a half a litre to a litre for every 45 to 60 minutes of intense training.
So the daily intake is what, 2 to 3 litres, right?
It varies on the individual.
It's relative.
What do you weigh?
Speaking of that, I weighed in 102 the other day.
You need 3 litres of water.
Okay, and 3 that is...
You may need a little bit less if it's not
and it's not
if the
just
temperature's different.
It's not just scolling a bottle of water.
No,
like,
it's
you got to
sipping it. If you skull, you're just going to be sporadically running to the bathroom.
You're just going to secrete it, right?
Yeah, and that's going to cause issues.
So
you can cause issues if your bladder is full and then you find yourself holding it in for prolonged portions of the day. There are correlations between that and bowel cancer, urinary tract infections. There's a lot of issues that
we don't want that.
Can go wrong.
So how much? So you need to consume electrolytes.
Electrolytes.
Sorry.
Ideally, because you want water not just in your blood but in your tissue. If water's in your blood, you're still dehydrated. That's why when you go to a hospital, they put you on a drip. When you're on the drip, the water's going from your bloodstream. It's got the electrolytes in it. It's traveling to your tissue. It's traveling to the tissue that surrounds your brain. You'll notice that one of the first signs of dehydration is headaches.
Yes.
Headache is just telling you are one of the things a headache is telling you is you're dehydrated. You've got the tissue around the brain and a lack of electrolytes. The tissue that's around the brain just compressing and letting go, and lack of blood flow, lack of electrolytes. Then you get this influx of blood into the brain to save the situation. And that influx of the brain is what causes that sharp sensation that is AKA the migraine.
Yeah.
So you can prevent a lot of that by just making sure that you've got your electrolytes.
So it is a thing because
it's massive.
I don't know if you've seen on social media and stuff like that. There's like memes going around of husbands telling their wives if they've had water after they complained about having a headache. I don't know if you've seen it around, but
No, I haven't. I haven't seen it.
it's a real thing. See, it's a real thing.
I've
It's not
gotta
just a
look it
meme. It's not just a meme or a trend.
Just sprinkle a little bit of salt in her water.
Yeah, Himalayan salt,
Celtic
whatever
salt,
it is.
Himalayan salt.
Yeah, salt. Sorry, this wasn't going to be brought up, but like salt in itself, like salt's salt, right? Like this, I know you're saying there's Celtic salt, there's Himalayan
Celtic salt
salt.
has got
like,
a big, massive spectrum of minerals, like over 70 minerals, almost like shilajit, right? Really high in minerals. Celtic salt's Himalayan salt, pink salt, because of its color, which is indicative of its antioxidant content. Usually something that's got color in it is higher in antioxidants versus something that's almost translucent like Celtic salt.
Have you heard of shilajit?
Shilajit, yeah, I was not a believer in shilajit.
Okay.
But after taking it regularly for a month, daily, same time, I realised it's a lot more effective than what I originally anticipated.
Were you taking it in tablet form or in that tar?
Like a tar.
Yeah, I was
form.
taking that as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But a lot of it, you just got to make sure that what you purchase is has been tested. There are clinical trials on it, lab tested, whether it's Manuka honey or whether it's Yemeni honey or whether it's shilajit. There are different qualities of this stuff. Like
what do you use? What brand of shilajit?
Symbiotica.
Okay, I might have to get
Like
that.
I've even when I was putting shilajit on my website as a supplement, I didn't just grab whatever was the cheapest and had the best margin on it. I grabbed what I knew worked, what I had tested myself, and what that company had showed in terms of lab testing, even with honey. And when I first tried shilajit, I was doing it sporadically, and I was like, okay, what's all the rage about? I don't understand it. But when I started taking it daily at the same time, there was a massive difference. I even did blood tests before and after, and there were 5 or 6 points on total testosterone that went up by taking shilajit. I wasn't taking all the other stuff that usually people take with it, such as Tonkat Ali and all of this other stuff, which has some solid research behind it if the doses are high enough. But the problem is with a lot of these supplements companies, they're trying to hide behind proprietary blends.
Yep.
So it'll be like 5,000 milligrams of testosterone boosting compounds. Okay, but how much of it is shilajit? How much of it is Tonkat Ali? How much of it is adaptogens like ashwagandha?
Yeah.
Right? We don't know because you've hidden behind this proprietary blend, and you need a specific clinical dose because the research is based on those doses. Anything below that, you're just taking a gamble. But they will never be as effective as exercise. They will never be as effective as cleaning up your food. They will never be as effective as creating a sleep routine, not just in the same, it's not just about going to sleep and waking up at the same time, but also trying to, even changing of beds affects your sleep. People who travel have poorer sleep quality, like myself. My sleep quality is poorer than the individual who doesn't travel as much, even interstate travel, because the body likes routine.
Yep, you're right.
The body likes to predict what's going on.
In the World Cup in 2017, we had a big focus on sleep.
Yeah.
We even went to the extremity of getting sheets, cooling sheets, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
We had pillows that had like a big difference, but the pillows were all custom designed to each player, same as the mattresses. And we pretty much had that with us throughout the whole trip, and we're doing that from hotel to hotel.
You travelled with them?
We travelled with them. Yeah, it was a big thing. Like sleep was key. We had humidifiers, we had eye masks, we had obviously the aircon, but we will set it at a certain temperature throughout the rooms.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Train hard, recover harder.
100%.
If you don't focus
that was
on
the
recovery,
methodology.
I was talking to someone about doing 1 session a day versus 2 sessions a day. If you're doing 2 sessions a day, sometimes then the days that you do 2 sessions a day, all good. But try and make sure that they are different types of training sessions. So one of them might be weights for me, the other one will be jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
But on those days, my body needs more protein. My body needs more calories. My body needs more rest. And if I don't, then that extra session would be counterproductive.
That's where I'm at now. So I'm doing 2 sessions. I'm doing 2 sessions a day, mixing it up. So in the morning, I tend to do my strength training,
Anaerobic. Yeah.
and then in the afternoon, I tend to do my aerobic training.
Aerobic stuff.
Yeah. If it's not aerobic training, I'll tend to do maybe I'll do a sauna instead, or maybe I'll go for just a nice.
As long as it's not too intense after 3 p.m. If your training session is very intense, it's going to affect your sleep as well. That's why people who train at night, and then have sleep issues, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. You're telling your body to be alert and awake. All your physiology changes in the evening to prepare you for sleep. From the temperature that your brain is to your heart rate, blood pressure, everything is making adjustments to prepare you for sleep. You're doing the opposite of that by exposing yourself to intense training, and they're wondering why you can't unwind. It's not.
It's a part of the day where a lot of people only have the time to train as well, though. So it's hard to kind of balance all that.
I would rather, as rough as it sounds, if I start super early, I would rather set my alarm and get up in the morning at 3 o'clock.
Wow.
If I had to, and not train at night.
Wow.
I would prefer to do that.
That's massive.
Unless you're a shift worker, and it's not only does your sleep routine change, but your entire diet has to change. But the way men feel today compared to the way men used to feel, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Men and women, yeah.
Very, very different.
It's true. But there's a combination again with those things. Like you got your sleep, you got pressures of life,
stress,
food quality.
Ultra processed food.
Exactly.
We're on Uber diets.
Exactly.
It's just convenient. It's not about...
That's the word.
It's not cheap food. Fast food isn't cheap. It used to be, but it's not anymore. You go through a drive-through of a fast food chain, even with 2 individuals, you're spending $60 anyway.
But that's another thing. Like,
it's not cheap.
It's sometimes
convenient, but it's not cheap.
But sometimes it's also cheaper to eat out than it is to eat in. Like you go down to the local...
By far.
Like, I'll go to buy some, 4 Scotch fillets. I'm looking at $50, $60. Organic.
If we're having
more.
If there's 3 of us at home and we're getting some good quality steak, it's $150 to $200 to purchase it. Then it's the stress of prepping it.
Yes.
Yesterday I went to a very good steakhouse. We had 2 eye fillets, entree, with all the sides, and it was less than what we would have paid at home. It was less than it was under $200, but we would have paid over $200 had we had the same dish at home and been a lot more stressed.
Exactly.
There's really the only good thing about it is really the communal eating and being around, let's say, a barbecue with the family. It's more for the social benefits and all the positives that come with that, as a family unit, friends, etc. But it's more of a social thing than anything else. You're definitely not saving anymore by eating at home. There's no saving whatsoever. The other thing is lack of movement that is now not essential. For instance, escalators everywhere, lifts everywhere. Now, if you lack mobility, you're somebody who's older and struggles with stairs, it's different. But a young, healthy person shouldn't be opting for escalators and stairs and things like that. That's where a lot of us have gone south. Research shows that the individual, like you train twice a day, if you are sedentary for every minute of the day outside of that, which you're not, but if you were, let's say you did that 1 session or those 2 sessions, and each session was, say, 45 minutes, that's an hour and a half combined. But for the remaining 22 and a half hours of the day, you are still. You are not moving, you're taking the escalators, you're not burning any energy. You are still unhealthier than the person who doesn't train but makes an effort to move every 20 minutes.
Wow.
That's what the studies show.
Wow.
You might look better in terms of from an aesthetic perspective, But I guarantee you that the other individual who makes an effort to move, parks a little bit further and gets rid of the stress of trying to find parking close by when they're going to a destination. Going to the beach, I used to intentionally, in summer when the beaches are packed, I would intentionally park a good 20 to 30 minutes away, force myself to walk, and I'm not stressed with the anxiety of trying to find parking for an hour somewhere close by. And I'm getting my steps in. Taking the stairs, even if you're tired.
That's what I do.
Not getting a lift. It's called non-energy activity total, NEAT calories. The person who does that is healthier, lives longer, has better blood test markers than the person who trains every single day at the gym and goes balls to the wall for an hour and then just does nothing for the rest of the day.
Interesting. It makes sense though. It does make sense.
Movement is
key.
Yeah. If you don't move, everything just changes. Your resting metabolic rate changes. The amount of calories you burn in the rested state changes. What your body does with food is different. Even just getting up every 20 minutes, going for a 2 or 3 minute walk in the same room that you're in, that makes a difference. Blood flow. It even reduces your risk of stroke and heart disease. Because of what it does, the effects of on blood viscosity.
Get moving, people.
You
moving.
have to move.
Should we get to the most controversial part of the show?
What's that?
Well, it was
Peps?
requested. Yeah, Peps. I think we're here now. Okay, peptides. So we briefly touched on it in the last episode. It's probably the biggest thing trending in the fitness industry right now. If you want to, not only in this fitness industry, but for the average Joe, right? For
even
multitude of things.
It's trending in the academic world.
Exactly, big time.
Even people who are studying.
So I narrowed down what I believe are the top 5. Now, I'm foreign to this kind of stuff, but I've narrowed it down to the top 5 most trending peptides on the market. You said it before that you've got a different 5, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
But every time Dick and Abdul, I believe, is talking about it and raving about peptides. Now, I don't think there's been enough research.
They are amazing.
They are amazing. They are.
But you have to understand that
where you're getting it from, how you're consuming it.
Most people who are, or the average individual that is on peptides isn't on pharmaceutical grade peptides.
Now, I've had this conversation with people in the gym, friends, have a 9-to-5 job, former professional athletes as well, raving about this stuff. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say I've been conned, but I haven't been swayed to take them just as yet. But I am intrigued at the recovery peptide, which I think is at the BPC.
Yeah. You've heard that FDA in the US is, people think that the laws have changed and peptides are now being approved by the government. They haven't yet. The discussion was had in April, but the change from Category 2 to Category 1, which legalises it, apparently comes into effect in July.
Okay, just like everything, right? Once something hits the market, everyone wants to get their hands on it, right? And there's obviously a massive, popularity with it. It could be anything. It could be smoking back in the 70s. Like, smoking was getting prescribed to, stay-at-home wives to clear their headaches.
Yeah. Valium was called Mama's Little Helpers.
There you go.
For stress.
Josu's
actually said it on the label.
Josu's got his
cocaine and heroin was prescribed by doctors with no degrees.
Exactly. Josu has his best mate that he takes around with him wherever he goes, his vape. Now, that was apparently the healthier alternative to smoking, which is not now. We all know. Is that true?
Very dangerous.
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely don't think it's. I think the long-term effects of vaping is going to be a lot worse than smoking.
It's horrible.
What else was Ozempic? Ozempic was this miracle drug that gets away and melts away fat. We all know
Ozempic and Manjaro.
Manjaro as well.
Very, very different. But the peptides for weight loss that have come out have taken that to a whole new level.
Well, let's talk about
Peptide, for example, versus
that's one.
Manjaro.
That's on my list.
So Manjaro attacks weight loss from one angle, right, which is reducing your appetite. Ozempic works on a GLP-1, so it reduces it controls basically what your body does with food in storing it as fat or using it as fuel. By working on on insulin in particular. Now, the peptide version attacks fat loss at from three different pathways. Two of those being what Ozempic and Manjaro does, Plus, on top of that, it directly affects lipolysis, influences lipolysis. So basically, it gets rid of subcutaneous and visceral fat. Although the studies have, on mice, and again, there's been some human trials, but all anecdotal, the results that are coming, that are being shown are very promising. Where people go wrong with all weight loss drugs is they fail to understand that they are still part of a holistic approach. We are not telling anybody to go and jump on these meds on the podcast, but they are still part of a holistic approach. You get on any of these medications, whether it's Ozempic, Mounjaro, or you just decide to take a peptide, which is, Retta. It's not going to end well if you don't make lifestyle changes, such as increasing your protein intake, making sure that you're doing resistance training and going to the gym, because weight loss by default, any extreme version of weight loss, so not a gradual deficit of calories, if you go straight into a very harsh deficit of calories or start training 3 times a day, any shock to the body that is at that level, magnified, results in weight loss, but 25 to 45% of the weight loss is muscle. Unless you do it gradual, and if you're using one of these enhancements, you would have to first and foremost make sure that your protein intake is adequate, at like 2 grams per kilogram, and making sure that you're doing resistance training. Give your body a reason and the resources. So you need a reason, and you need resources to preserve muscle. Otherwise, your body will let go of muscle and
As
fat,
a fuel source.
and you'll become skinny fat.
Yeah, we don't want that.
But what is the difference? Do people even know what the difference between peptides and steroids is?
Well,
Like what's one and what's the other?
We're going to get
There's
there.
a systemic approach, right? And some peptides have a systemic approach. And what I mean by that is they have a holistic approach. Steroids have more of a holistic approach. Peptides have a more acute type of approach to repairing or addressing very specific issues. Whereas hormones, like testosterone, will address a multitude of issues at once.
Is peptide synthetic as well?
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, but steroids as a whole?
A lot of them are synthetic, but and steroids are synthetic too.
Yep.
But the difference is peptides, not all of them, but a lot of them, will not shut down the physiology of the human being or components of the physiology of the human being that's responsible for making certain hormones like growth hormone would or testosterone would. For example, you start taking exogenous testosterone, you start injecting testosterone, your body stops producing testosterone. You take growth hormone, your pituitary gland stops producing growth hormone. You take CJC1295, your body doesn't stop, your pituitary gland doesn't stop producing growth hormone. It increases productivity of growth hormone by the pituitary gland.
Interesting.
Your growth hormone. So, and even the way that you dose it is indicative of that too. Growth hormone in the morning, CJC1295 at night. Although people that take GH, you've got a community that believe you should take it in the evening and some at night. Growth hormone is released in the evening to help you with sleep and repair and recovery. So people that take CJC1295, although some people take it in the day, it should be taken, if you're going to take it at all, in the evening to enhance what your pituitary gland is already doing. And then that one in particular, that CJC1295, which is a trigger for growth hormone, is safer to be taken. Again, we're not telling people on this podcast to go and take peptides, but it's safer taken with things like ipamorelin. Because if you take CJC1295 and your pituitary gland is producing copious amounts in a pulsing fashion of, it's pulsing away producing growth hormone, by default, you're going to get more cortisol production and more prolactin. So your mood's going to go to shit as well. And so is your...
You're more irritable? Is that what we're saying here?
More irritable. You start feeling more down. That's where adaptogens come into play, like ashwagandha. You don't feel really low. You don't get those feelings of being overly elated. You're feeling level. That's why they're so good. But back on the topic of peptides, pairing it with something like ipamorelin regulates the release of the growth hormone so that you don't get this spike in cortisol and you don't get this spike in prolactin as well. Because it affects your libido as well.
Ipamorelin, you only pair it with CJC 1295.
Yeah.
So that's the only peptide you pair it with.
Yeah, you can, but some people take ipamorelin on its own as well because it does assist with the way the body releases growth hormone by regulating the pituitary gland production of growth hormone.
CJC and just pure growth hormone, what's the difference?
Growth hormone will shut down your pituitary gland because it takes over.
But in terms of the benefits, what's going to have more of an enhanced effect on my body?
I would say growth hormone.
Okay.
Because the amount of growth hormone that you take that you consume subcutaneously is going to really not have a cap on it. There's no limit.
Wow.
Is there a limit to how much testosterone you can inject? Not really, until the person gets all the symptoms that result in death. But growth hormone, but one thing that people have to be conscious of is that if you get increased production of cellular recovery and cellular repair, if that person has a tumor,
that's what we're going to lead to.
It's going to
enhance
grow
cancer
a little
cells
bit faster as well. Not necessarily. It's not going to necessarily increases your chances of getting cancer per se. I haven't seen any studies that show that. But if you've got a tumor that is existing, that's why regular blood tests are so important when you're taking things like this. If there's a tumor that is existing, the growth of that tumor will be faster, significantly faster. When you're doing regular blood tests, there are telltale signs of whether something is going wrong. That's why we look at the white blood cell count, for instance. An irregular white blood cell count is indicative of your body trying to fight something, whether you feel under the weather or not. Because I've seen white blood cell counts that are alarming on blood tests, and I'll say to the individual, "Were you feeling sick when you got this? Something like you? Did you have the flu? Were you under the weather?" No, I felt fine.
Wow.
That's a little bit of a concern, because your body might be trying to fight something. You're just not feeling the symptoms yet. So when you're taking things that increase repair and recovery at a cellular level, and you're taking things like CJC 1295 or growth hormone, you should be doing blood tests to check everything.
What's a cycle?
Because
what's the duration of a cycle for CJC? Or any
CJC,
peptide for the matter?
The benefits, growth hormone, anything to do with growth hormone or IGF-1, the benefits are more long-term. Like you start to feel maybe a little bit fresher in the morning when you take it in the first 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But the real serious, significant benefits that you start to see in terms of better mood, waking up feeling ready to tackle the day, less subcutaneous fat, less visceral fat, faster recovery gets cut in half, less DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness from training. All these benefits, they take a couple of months to kick in.
What about physiological?
Physiological.
Thank you. Far out.
Super physiological.
Thank you. When will you see the benefits for that?
I would say 6 months on. 6 months plus. Unless just like mega dosing.
That sounds expensive.
Which is not safe. It's cheaper than growth hormone, like clinical pharmaceutical grade growth hormone. CJC 1295 was a lot cheaper when it first came out. Peptides are a lot more expensive than they used to be back in the days when there was only RP6 and CJC. But they've become significantly more expensive.
Well, the top 5 that I have, that I've researched that are the most trending at the moment, BPC 157.
Yeah, that's an exciting one.
Okay.
Especially if it gets approved.
CJC 1295.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one I've never heard of. Semax and Selank, which...
They're the cognitive ones.
Correct.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of what we used to do at uni. We used to take cognitive enhancers like alpha GPC. These are natural compounds, though, that increase cognition.
TB 500.
Yep.
And
usually paired with BPC.
And of course, retatrutide. So with all these 5, do you pair them? Do you have them all at once, or
you can take?
How do you stack
a lot
them?
of people
How do you stack it?
BPC with TB 500. that's based on what you're looking for. BPC is very specific. BPC stands for body protective compound. It's 15 amino acids. It's injected close to the site of injury. Let's say you've got a tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, you lack mobility in the shoulder. It's injected close to the site to reduce inflammation and increase at a very rapid rate. And the science shows that tissue healing, muscle, tendons, everything, it basically goes against everything that we used to think the human body was capable of. That's why it got the nickname Wolverine. Now, it doesn't mean that you can jump off a building and take BPC and you're going to be good. Everything's just going to come back to normal. It's within reason. Like I've got a full thickness delaminating tear in the supraspinatus. That's not going to, taking BPC next to the site isn't going to reattach the tendon onto the bone. That rotator cuff is torn. I've got a partial thickness tear in the infra. It may help with that to a certain degree, but it's not going to reattach a tendon on the bone. But if it can regenerate tendon, tissue, ligaments, everything.
See that.
What are the side effects though? We don't know the long-term side effects.
But when you speak like that, like
it sounds appealing, but I'm not selling it. I've got nothing to gain.
Because for me, like I've got a tennis elbow here on my right arm. I've got an arthritic knee.
It drives blood there. Like if you inject it next to your knee, it increases what's called angiogenesis, which is more red blood cells going to that area. And what does blood carry? The nutrients that you need to recover.
I've got an arthritic left shoulder that needs a shoulder replacement. Like when you speak like that, and for my longevity, for my my well-being, lifestyle changes and stuff like that, I can't help but want to try it, or experiment with it. But for me, I just have to say, I can't. It just goes against my whole entire being as a former professional athlete. Like I know I'm not playing a competitive sport anymore.
But are you doing everything else? Like are you doing the physio, the mobility, the chiropractic work?
That's why
if you're not doing all of that to the best of your ability,
yeah,
then really you shouldn't be entertaining something like that.
Exactly.
Because your body repairing itself is what it naturally wants to do anyway. You just have to do the work.
True.
This isn't to compensate for the work being done.
True.
If you're doing the work and you're still suffering and there's something that can potentially help you that is not going to have any negative side effects down the track, that's up to the individual. But you would understand why someone would want to entertain it and why, studies should be on top of these sort of compounds if they're going to help people to that degree. Why not? But until then, we can't say. I think BPC might be one of the ones that FDA is trying to approve. And BPC in particular is sub-Q or intramuscular near the site. You load it similar to the way you would load creatine for a week or two, and then you would twice a week at larger doses, and then continue with twice a week doses. But BPC, a lot of these, like BPC in particular, TB500, that comes from studying the lining of the stomach, because there's no part of the human body that can suffer damage and repair quicker than the lining of the stomach or the stomach itself.
So you just said it. So
that is why we know about this compound, because of Russian researchers looking into, okay, hang on a second, the shoulder's not repairing, the knee's not repairing. Why is the stomach lining repairing at such a rapid rate? What is there? What exists there that doesn't exist elsewhere?
Yeah.
Let's take that. That's what I meant by acute, and specifically address this shoulder issue, this tendon issue, this meniscus issue.
Yeah. So I had hamstring tendonitis in my tendon, and what they did, what they thought would work was taking 6 vials of blood from my arm, putting it in a machine to spin it.
Oh, the centrifuge. Yeah.
Extract the plasma. So
you did that?
Yeah. So what this machine basically does, it separates the white and red blood cells, and then you see right at the bottom of the beaker, which is the plasma, which is the healing property in your body, right?
I see it when I donate plasma at Red Cross.
Correct. Yeah. So they inject out the plasma and then inject it back into my body, into the area where I'm affected.
That's got all the growth factors. Correct.
So, listen, did it work? I did feel like it did help. it did benefit my.
It takes a bit of time,
but it
though.
takes
You
a bit of
can't do it
time.
once.
No, you can't. I think
People do it for improving hair or promoting hair growth or hair thickness.
Correct.
Yeah, or preventing hair loss.
But back to BPC 157. Yeah, you're right. It's an amino acid peptide derived from the human gastric juice, widely researched for potential regenerative healing and anti-inflammatory properties. While animal studies show promise in treating tissue injuries like tendon, muscles, and nerves, and gastrointestinal issues, high quality human
Like even
clinical
people with
trials.
diverticulitis say that
It's,
they've
yeah,
got
but
issues.
the trials are severely limited at this point in time, and it hasn't been approved by the FDA or any other major regulatory
Which is why we
bodies.
copped a lot of backlash or there a little bit of backlash the last time. People got the misconception that I was against these things.
No.
I'm against anything that potentially can harm the human being, and there are no clinical trials.
Yes.
Now, if there are clinical trials and they're being suppressed because, pharma wants us to buy Mounjaro and Ozempic, then that's different. But that's a different topic altogether.
I don't know if you know, how do you find, so when you get drug tested in professional sports, right, there are markers. So if you're taking test boosters, obviously see your testosterone levels.
Yeah.
And if they're here if they're normally here.
Growth hormone too, you can
Exactly
you can tell,
right.
yeah.
But how do you test for peptides? Would you know?
It would be a very expensive blood test.
Fuck, that's scary.
Yeah, a very expensive blood test because it would, BPC in particular, increases red blood cell counts
Like, how do you detect?
beyond the range.
So
you're going to look at red blood cell count, white blood cell count on a basic blood test.
yes.
If they are abnormal, then that may be indicative of that person, taking a supplement that is very potent, such as BPC.
But you don't normally take blood tests when you're getting drug tested in professional sport. Majority
They
of
do urine tests.
Correct.
Yeah.
So how does that come up in your urine?
I'm not sure. I don't think. I don't think you could. I don't know if they can even see that.
Joseph, what did you find?
So, in specialized urine tests, they can detect certain peptides, though they're generally not part of standard drug screens. However, if they do not do the test within 24 to 48 hours of
2
use,
days. I was going to say the half-life is very short.
You can't find it.
Because you're injecting bi-weekly when it comes to these stuff.
That's
sometimes once a week. So if I have an injection on Monday, and you're doing a urine test on Wednesday, it probably won't come up. Or Thursday, it won't come up. Definitely won't come up.
That is alarming.
It's bi-weekly injections.
That
for
is
a
alarming.
reason.
Like
It's
imagine
different to like something like, man, there are compounds that have 9-month half-lives. There are vitamins that have vitamin D has a 9-month half-life. It's in your system for 9 months.
So if I'm
Saturation will drop, but it's still in your system.
if I'm a professional athlete,
There,
say in the off season, right?
Unless it's sporadic, like, do they tell you when they're going to come for a urine
No,
test?
it's all random.
Okay.
So it's random in the sense they'll come in randomly at training, a training facility, or it could be random at your house.
But you can take it off season.
But that's
Do
what
they check you off season?
potentially. I've never been tested, but in the off season, I've
I
been
remember
tested in
once I was
season.
outside. I was catching up with Todd Carney back in the day. I was outside his house. I was about to pick him up. We can go to a cafe in Cronulla and have something to eat. And he said, "Bro, just give me a minute. They're here to do a
Drug test.
just random." So I just waited outside, and
Well,
no issue.
it happened to a boxer that I was hanging out with the other day. We're just having a coffee at the Post Cafe, and they turned up at the
cafe.
At the cafe, she had to do the urine test in the toilet at the cafe.
Wow. I
And
never heard of that. I thought it was like they just come to your house or training facility.
They are ruthless. Like if I'm taking a piss, like to the point where you need to face them, get your schlong out, and they have to watch you
They'll watch you.
piss into the beaker. Like I can't turn around.
Yeah, because back in the day, I remember back when I was competing in natural physique contests, I remember the winner, even though there was no weight divisions or height divisions back then. So I was always the smallest, right? And because I'd win contests, I'd get drug tested. And one of the clauses that we'd sign, and this is expensive when you're talking about 20, 25 years ago, we'd do a urine test, which was $550 if you failed it. You don't pay if you pass it. And we'd do a lie detector test by somebody that was sent by the Olympic Committee.
Wow.
The IOC, and then that was $2,000, which was 4 weeks' wages back then. And that was only, again, if you fail. And it was horrible. And the other clause was that they're allowed to publish your name in one of the magazines, like Iron Man magazine, as a drug cheat.
Yep. So it's similar to rugby league. Like so there's two bodies, two governing bodies that test you. So one will be testing just purely for recreational drugs, cannabis, cocaine, methamphetamines, and yada, yada, yada. And then the other body, which is WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association, they test you for performance enhancers. Purely that, not recreational, but of course we know that recreational drugs, there is sometimes components that might have some performance enhancer drugs laced with it, and but this whole chat around peptides now is just alarming because like how do you detect it? Like how do you find it? It's easy to get away with.
It's a lot trickier. It's a lot trickier because every couple of weeks there's something new. You got to remember there are roughly, I would say, up to 4,000 of them, different types of variations that can potentially be modified. And I remember back in the day, they would just change the recipe a little bit or the formula slightly, and the governing bodies would have to try and catch up to ban it.
And what are you consuming peptides for? Physiological benefits, cognitive benefits, recovery. Like there's so many.
How do you ban something for cognitive benefits?
That's what I wanted to ask you because you now got a peptide which is the Semax and Selank.
Unless it can make you sick. But before you go there, TB 500 is the normal stack. What's the difference between TB and BPC? BPC is more acute. TB is more systemic. Because TB thiamycin is found in every cell in the body. So the person who takes TB without BPC is the person who doesn't have the elbow injury like your mate, doesn't have the elbow injury like the golfer's elbow and tennis elbow like I had from jiu-jitsu. But the person who wants to cut recovery time in half, like let's say an MMA fighter who does a couple of wrestling sessions a week, striking sessions, sparring, jiu-jitsu, strength and conditioning, road runs, that person who's always in a state of repair from at a cellular level, has always got little micro tears in the muscle, the tendons, the ligaments, because of the level of training and the
high intensity.
The intensity of the training and the frequency of the training. Somebody like that would benefit from TB 500 because it would cut all their recovery time in half. They could take it just during prep.
That appeals to every single professional athlete because it's a constant grind throughout the season.
50 cuts recovery exactly in half because it takes the recovery signal from every cell in the body and sends it to wherever it needs to be, where recovery is needed. So it's a holistic approach. The entire body is repaired, whereas BPC 157 is very, very specific. Acute. It's more of an acute approach.
Right. I think we can be here all day just talking about this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Should we move on to chapter 3? What we're going to talk about next?
We're talking about Retta or Semax and Selank, brain performance.
Oh no, you want to keep.
That's the one that they're talking about approving in June.
Which one? Sorry.
The nasal spray.
I didn't even hear about this.
Yeah, that's the Semax and Selank. It's a
so that's how it's
cognitive
ingested.
Functioning. Yeah, yeah.
For
the hydration formula that I've got for my supplement, which I've added more alpha GPC. It's got compounds in it that I know work and they're not banned and like that comes out. I used it at uni. Without uni, I don't think I would have got through postgrad studies.
Wow.
It was
what were you
very,
doing
very
again?
potent.
What were you studying again?
I can't remember. Take a pick. Nuke med, maths, nutrition, research methods.
You studied nuclear medicine. What would that take you? What path would that take you?
Diagnosing cancer.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I did my practicum in 1997 at Bankstown Hospital and I realised this isn't for me.
Wow.
It wasn't fun. Maths was fun. But when it comes to cognitive functioning, it's like back then it would be like, are you doing your degree with AI or without AI?
Yeah.
Like the average PhD student today would say that there's no way they would do postgrad studies without artificial intelligence. It's not possible. It's just not possible. They would not be able to do postgrad. And alpha GPC, compounds like that and the pharmaceutical grade level of alpha GPC is, I can't remember the name of it. It's given to people that have restless leg syndrome. It's so strong at sharpening the brain's like functioning without affecting your cardiovascular. And that's what's attractive about this. It doesn't affect it's not a stimulant. It's not like caffeine. I'm going to feel sharper, but I'm going to have cotton mouth. I'm going to be dehydrated. I'm going to crash, and I'm going to have an accelerated heart rate. It's not like that at all. This is just affecting your mind, and that's why alpha GPC is such an amazing natural compound.
Wow.
What this Semax and Selank stuff does is it increases what's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. So basically, it's a peptide that affects cognitive functioning, your ability to focus, your ability to memorize, your ability to learn.
Improve mood.
Everything changes. And they're approving it through a nasal spray. I think the dose is about 100 to 300 mcgs.
Oh, wow.
But it's a compound like this. It was a pharmaceutical compound that was similar to this that came out quite a few years ago. And that's what inspired the movie Limitless. Have you seen Limitless?
Of course, yes.
Where
One of
the
my
guy
favorite
takes that
movies.
tablet and then he takes over the world.
And he's the smartest human being alive.
It's a very exaggerated
That makes sense.
scenario, but it's based on a cognitive enhancer that was originally designed for restless leg syndrome and also shift workers.
Because how much...
It's called modafinil. That's right.
What capacity can...
Provigil is the I think the American brand.
What's the percentage of the brain we can actually tap into?
We used to think we used 10%.
Yes.
But I've seen studies that show 0.5, which is probably good because we've destroyed the planet with 0.5% of our brain. Put a man on the moon. I think it's enough.
Did we put a man on the moon? I don't know.
Do we get into that rabbit hole?
Do we go into that? Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting because
Did
I feel
Russia
like,
do it first, or did the US do it first?
or did the
Or was it
Chinese?
staged?
Or does it? Yeah.
There's a great movie that covers that. It's a comedy. It's hilarious.
I can't
remember the name.
I
of it.
do not want to get into this today.
It's awesome.
Let's talk about training performance and I guess how to balance strength training with cardio training, because I know a lot of people out there are paranoid about if I do too much cardio training, I'm not going to lose size, muscle definition, yada, yada, yada.
We can just take Retta.
So this is what's annoying me now, right? Like nothing can substitute hard work.
No.
All right. So
See, Retta is going back to the peptides. It's a triple agonist. So it's like taking Manjaro. It's like taking Ozempic, and it's also going to affect what's called glucagon. And glucagon receptors, once you start going down that path, it affects your body's ability to burn subcutaneous fat and visceral fat that's around the organs. It's going to reduce the amount of increase the amount of calories you burn rested as well. That's what glucagon receptors, or affecting glucagon receptors does. The GIP and GLP-1 effects, that's ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and insulin sensitivity. All of those are affected. But again, when you're taking drastic measures to lose weight very quickly, a lot of the time you're going to lose muscle. 25 to 45% of that will be muscle. So whether it's through excessive training, an excessive calorie deficit, or whether it's a bariatric surgery, gastric sleeve surgery, or whether it's taking Retta or any of these other drugs that are approved, such as Manjaro or Ozempic, they are aggressive methods of weight loss. With aggressive methods of weight loss comes muscle loss. So if you're going to go down that path and you're not going to pay attention to how much protein you're ingesting and how much resistance training you're exposing yourself to 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 times a day, 3 to 4 times a week minimum, then you by default are going to lose muscle. The end outcome is not going to be good. Your body fat will drop, but how your aesthetics will change, how tight and toned you are will change. Nothing is going to beat hard work ever. You're going to have appetite suppression. You're going to have an improved fat metabolism. You're going to have muscle loss concerns that come with it.
now speaking about peptides and all these amazing benefits. I hope we didn't sell it too much to everyone that's listening in, because like
that's the
people that
last
are
thing I
listening in, how can't they want to dibble dabble with the idea of ingesting peptides in their body? Like it's a very
Not everyone likes hard work. Some people just I'm addicted to suffering.
But
I enjoy it.
I'm the exact same as you, because we're twisted human beings.
I enjoy it.
But the thing is, not everyone has the luxury to kind of do that to their body. They don't have the time. A lot of people are just time constrained. That's what it comes down to. They've just got no time to kind of really implement all this hard training
Anyone
lifestyle.
who says, like, when people complain about that, it's a lack of ordering priorities.
Okay.
Yeah. It's always priorities.
Well,
like if you really want to do something,
you'll do it.
You'll do it. If I say to you, listen, man, if you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to give you a 50% increase in your salary. You'll get up at 3 in the morning.
That's a good point.
So if you really want to do it, you'll do it.
That's a very good point. Well, we spent a bit longer than I expected on peptides, and I was going to talk to you about training performance, like, you know,
fiber type training.
Yeah, fast versus slow, strength training versus cardio and conditioning, the difference between anaerobic and aerobic systems in our body, and how we have to tap into both of them to get the benefits. But I guess maybe we'll talk about that next episode.
Training for hypertrophy.
Yep.
Hyperplasia, etc.
Programming as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll leave that for the next episode. But we've got a few fans that have messaged in, and they'll love for you to answer a few questions if you don't mind.
Go for it.
All right, no worries. Let's bring it up. Now, of course, everyone's going to remain anonymous. I want to respect everyone by doing that. 1 second. Let's bring this up. All right. Oh. All right. We've had a few. All right. This one's... fucking shut up. Okay. This one's from a female listener. Hi. I'm hoping to tone my body, but not bulk. What do you suggest to do?
Tone, but not bulk.
She's a female as well.
So this individual's looking to lose weight and not lose muscle. Because when you want to stay tight and toned, these are terms that became very popular with women's magazines like Women's Fitness and Women's Health, which I've written for. And they were the introducers of the term muscle tone, which doesn't exist in science. There's no such thing as muscle tone. But I understand what she's asking. She's asking to lose body fat, but get harder and tighter in the process, not getting softer by losing weight. And that's the key to that, is making sure that you have enough protein per day so that your body has the resources to create what's called protein synthesis and preserve the muscle that you already have, because you've busted your ass to achieve a certain amount of muscle gain. The last thing you want to do is go into a calorie deficit and then lose the muscle as well. Did she say bulking or?
She does not want to bulk up.
Doesn't want to bulk
but
up.
But she wants to stay toned.
So you would have to make sure that your protein intake is adequate, so about 1.6 to 2 grams per kilogram, male or female. And you would have to make sure that you expose yourself to stress, like compound lifts, the deadlift, the squat, etc., 3 to 4 days a week. You wouldn't do all those exercises 3 to 4 days a week, but you would do compound lifts. Even a barbell row is a compound lift. 3 to 4 days a week. Any lift that involves more than one muscle group to execute is a compound lift. An isolation exercise would be like a dumbbell
curl, tricep pull down.
Correct. So if you're doing a lat pull down or a chin up, that's a compound movement as well, because you're using several muscle groups to execute the lift. You would have to do compound moves to trigger a reason for your body to want to preserve muscle in the process. And that misconception of having protein is going to make me bulky. No, protein increases your resting metabolic rate, because the more protein you eat, the harder your body has to work to digest it. Your body doesn't really have to do much to break down carbohydrates and fat. You burn 1 to 3 calories when you're breaking down 1 to 3% of the calories you consume when it comes to digesting carbs and fats, but a lot more when it comes to protein. Your body can expend 15, 20, 30% of what you're consuming in energy just through digestion. So you burn calories, you build muscle, it's a win-win.
Have you ever tried the Zercher squat? Yeah?
Oh, the Zercher squat. Yeah.
Zercher or
Yeah,
Zercher?
I thought it was Zercher.
Whatever it is.
We're Aussies, so we put the C and H together.
Yeah, that's a good point. Have you experimented with it yet? Or?
Yeah, I've done it plenty of times.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's an awesome load on the.
Just don't like the load on my elbows.
On the
right
it's
in
an
the joint.
but there are bars that make it a lot easier. There are certain bars that make it a lot easier, but to have large loads like that sitting on your elbow joint is not the most comfortable thing. A front squat is just as effective
Yeah, correct.
as a Zercher squat.
Question number 2. What diet can help with ADHD symptoms, if there is one?
The most important thing, the most underrated things I believe there is, and it's essential fats. Essential fats and supplementing with essential fats. Not necessarily fish oil and not omega-3, but rather the active constituent that comes from omega-3, which is EPA, DHA. Studies show that if you take 2 grams with breakfast and then 2 grams with dinner, it has a profound effect. Not only does it increase the average lifespan by 5 years, but it lubricates the neurons in your brain. It helps prevent degenerative diseases of the brain, such as MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, even ADHD. But one of the most effective, alpha GPC is another one. Alpha GPC is very, very underrated. Even acetyl-L-carnitine is a nootropic to a certain degree. It's not just a fat burner.
And how do you get this? What food is that?
To increase your own carnitine production, you need to create the resources that produce carnitine in the body, namely vitamin C. So vitamin C isn't just what we learn and what we know, two different things. We're told that vitamin C is for your immune system.
Yes.
Right? Cold and flu.
Of course.
It is, but it also helps your body produce collagen. It's anti-aging. It also helps your body produce carnitine, which improves your metabolism, which tells your body to use food for fuel, not for storing it as fat. So the basic supplementation, the basic supplements, if you have the basic supplement protocol correct, a lot of your symptoms, both cognitive and physical, will be alleviated, which is the 3 grams of vitamin C per day, 3,000 IUs of vitamin D per day, from a good quality brand, like I'm talking something that's pharmaceutical grade, a specific men's or women's multivitamin. Obviously, this will differ for people who are taking medications because these things can react. Even the peptides we mentioned, they can react with somebody who is on heart medication, thyroid medication. Anyone who's taking any form of meds, prescription or otherwise, needs to be careful of these things. Even when it comes to taking a mere multivitamin. That's why you should ask. That's why pharmacists, a good pharmacist will ask you before you grab something behind the counter. So if you're grabbing a very strong brand of vitamin D or a very strong brand of multivitamin that has a high dose of vitamin K in it, that's not available on the shelf but is behind the counter, like Bioceuticals or Metagenics, the pharmacist will ask you questions to understand whether they should be giving you this or not, because something very simple can become tragic. A good multivitamin, EPA DHA, which is the active ingredient in omega-3, 2 grams in the morning, 2 grams with dinner. These things make a profound difference on your body as well as your mind.
I think this question is pretty much tied to what you just said. So when it comes to diet and brain performance, what nutritional patterns or specific foods actually have a strong evidence for improving cognitive function, focus, or long-term brain health?
Essential fats are the most predominant ones when it comes to brain, when it comes to cognitive functioning. I've seen studies that show scans of the brain over 30 days of consuming just an avocado a day. Nothing else was changed in the diet, an avocado a day. And in 30 days, there were improvements in brain performance and also the overall health.
What about fish?
If it's wild, I would eat more white fish than coloured fish.
Why?
Generally lower in mercury as well. Coloured fish are larger fish. They tend to eat other fish, which means that they're usually higher in mercury. So tuna and salmon, I would make more of an effort with the larger fish being wild.
So speaking of mercury, how is mercury produced in fish? Do you know?
It's from what they consume.
Correct. All right.
That's from what they consume. And if your fish is consuming another fish that contains mercury, their mercury content becomes more concentrated.
Is mercury introduced?
Poisonous.
Yeah, but is that introduced from humans or is that just what's out in the ocean?
That's a good question. I haven't done the homework.
Can you
on
check that?
Whether, but I'm pretty sure it exists naturally in our. You mean like is it a consequence of environmental?
Correct.
Issues?
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it probably would be magnified due to environmental issues.
No, it is. You're
global
right.
warming,
Yeah,
etc.
Industrial emissions like coal burning, natural resources,
oil spills,
also natural resources as well,
Yeah.
like volcanoes, rock weathering.
Mercury is a naturally existing
Yeah. Okay.
compound.
Okay.
It's a naturally existing thing. It's not man-made.
Yeah, it is absorbed by fish and accumulates up the food chain, of course. Okay. Interesting.
But fish that eat other fish are generally higher. Like a barramundi is not a fish-eating fish. So barra would be naturally lower in mercury.
Snapper, brim,
Yeah.
whiting.
So fish that don't eat other fish.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Are you familiar with IGF-1?
Yeah, insulin growth factor 1. That's what your body turns growth hormone into when you inject growth hormone. So there's IGF-1, what's called LR3, which is the long release one. Mm-hmm. And there's another one, I think it's called DES, which has to be injected. If it's done the way bodybuilders do it, they inject it, I think, before, sometimes even mid-workout, and then again after training.
You inject
because
that-
it's got a very, very short half-life, and they inject it into the actual muscle that they're training.
Really?
And it's very potent for muscle growth over time. LR3 has a half-life that's longer. It's not in the days, it's still in the hours, but it means that you can inject it subcutaneous, not in the site, we say an inch and a pinch of the abdominal fat, and it lasts longer. So you wouldn't have to inject it into the site, and it wouldn't last as long. So you can get away with doing it just once per day. But IGF-1, if it's not regulated, hypermorelin could help. If you're not careful with doing your blood tests, tumors can grow. And also prolactin can increase and cortisol can increase.
So it's fair to say there's been a lot of discussion around it. Obviously
IGF-1, it's
around the gym scene, right?
A lot of scientists, particularly performance researchers from Russia, are massive on IGF for their athletes, and with rightful reason.
I think cyclists are predominantly on it.
Because we know for a fact that once you inject growth hormone, your body converts it to IGF-1. And that's insulin growth factor 1 is what triggers the signals for your cells and fibers to grow. Is it as effective as steroids? I don't think so. And I think the effects of it, again, would take a significant amount of time. It's not. I hear about people doing IGF-1 courses of, say, 4 weeks or 6 weeks. I don't think they're as beneficial as somebody who takes them for a prolonged period of time. But with the prolonged dosing of things like that, you've got to be very careful when it comes to tumours.
Okay. I think you pretty much answered that. And, personal question.
Yeah.
In your typical day, what do you consume? Example, like carbs, fats, protein.
I'll give my company a shameless plug, Meals by Moodi.
There you go.
But before I had my own food company, my breakfast when I was younger, I wouldn't have fats with my breakfast. I would have a high protein, high carb breakfast. And
What carb would you consume?
And I found that what's that?
What carbs?
In the morning, it would predominantly be oats with barley flakes. I used to add barley flakes to my oats just to increase the amount of, they're just much more nutrient dense, more fiber, more antioxidants, more everything.
Because you can't really, there's not many options for carbs in the morning. Like you've got your breads, of course.
But now you've got very good healthy breads as well. Like sourdough's a fermented bread that's got amazing benefits. And sourdough comes wholemeal, it comes as rye, it comes as soy linseed. But even white sourdough is beneficial for you. Like I've seen studies where they got women who are pregnant two groups, both were pregnant, and one group of women consumed sourdough bread. The other group did not consume sourdough bread. It was too difficult to get them to consume a whole bunch of fermented foods every day, right? Especially with the nausea that is associated with a pregnant woman. So they couldn't get a woman to consume, fermented vegetables, fermented dairy products, fermented beverages every single day. It's too difficult. So they just had one task: slice of sourdough bread. You guys, no sourdough bread. The group that consumed sourdough bread had much better what's called Shannon diversity index in the stomach, which is a diversity of good, healthy bacteria and a good abundance of good bacteria in the stomach. But what the remarkable part of the study was, when the baby was born, on day one, the first time that baby did a poo, there was a swab, there was a stool sample taken, and the healthy bacteria was identical to the healthy bacteria of mum.
Wow.
In the abundance and the diversity of the bacteria. So it was translated. That means that child, if it's maintained, if that healthy diet is maintained by mum and the child, is going to affect them for the rest of their life. Their gut health for their whole life will be better than the other child. Their gut-brain axis will be healthier. Better serotonin production. Less likelihood of depression and anxiety. All of these things are triggered in the gut. And that's just from adding a piece of sourdough bread. And it wasn't even the child that was consuming it, it was the mum.
That's interesting. So what would you have for lunch? Like white meat?
Lunch, I used to avoid fats in the day to the evening, because when I was younger, they used to make me sluggish. They don't anymore. I'll give you an example. If I had salmon for breakfast when I was younger, something that was high in fats, I would be very sluggish and very slow for several hours afterwards, because it takes a while to digest that. The fats slow down the release of the energy.
How long do they take?
Like, instead of something glycogen being released into your bloodstream within 30 to 60 minutes, it might take several hours. And that would affect me in terms of, it would affect my mood, it would affect how alert I am, it'd make me a little bit restless. That's not the case anymore. And if I was to go back, I'd probably make more of an effort to include fats at every meal.
Okay.
Knowing now how important they are for preventing diseases, and how effective they are at getting rid of visceral fat around the organs. If I was to do things all over again, I would make sure that my breakfast was proteins, fats, carbs. For example, salmon, poached eggs, avocado. On the weekends, I like a brisket Benedict without the hollandaise sauce, not because I'm trying to count calories, I just don't like sauces. Lunch back then would be a white source of protein, no coloured protein, so no beef, no lamb, no salmon. It would be fast digesting proteins like fish. Most of the time it was grilled fish or chicken breast, but more fish than chicken.
Yep.
With sweet potato. I found sweet potato a lot gentler on the stomach than brown rice and other forms of low glycemic index carbohydrates. But if I could go back, I would add avocado, which I didn't. Mm-hmm. For dinner, I would have the slow digesting proteins to keep me satiated in the evening. So I would have the coloured meats. Anything that is coloured is rich in not just protein, but is naturally higher in fat. So beef, lamb, salmon and tuna towards the evening, because they're going to regulate your blood glucose levels a little bit better, keep you satiated longer, and less likely to wake up in the middle of the night running to the fridge. And I wouldn't have the carbs in the evening. Now I don't really care. I'll still have low glycemic index carbs at night if they're there. I wouldn't have carbs in the evening. I would have fibrous or cruciferous carbs like salad and vegetables. Mainly dark green veg. I'm really big on dark green vegetables, because dark green vegetables expend a lot of energy to digest, almost the same amount of energy that they contain. So you're having 15 calories of broccoli, you're burning 15 calories to break down the broccoli, or more.
Interesting.
Right? So dark green vegetables, I was big on broccoli.
Broccolini, silver beet, kale.
I would have kale, spinach quite often, green beans. Asparagus is one of my favorites.
Because the fat burner?
It helps get rid of unwanted water retention. But again, burns a lot of calories. And dark green vegetables are rich in vitamin K, and vitamin K is critical for healthy mitochondria in the brain, which is what prevents degenerative diseases of the brain, and which is attacking kids now as young, not kids, but 25-year-olds shouldn't be worried about multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease. And I'm seeing that in men and women in their mid-20s.
Well, there's been a massive rise in anxiety.
Yeah, and that's not a good sign.
Anxiety, what else?
Artificial ingredients, preservatives, all of this is taking a toll, and we don't even want to delve into the issues to do with plastic. We'll do that on another day.
Yeah, I think we will.
We used to consume a
Credit card?
a bottle or a credit card. A credit card a month. Now it's a credit card a week.
I believe that.
And most of it gets wedged in the brain. And that is a major reason for fertility dropping to below 1% in 2045. It's not just lifestyle, training, diet. A lot of it is to do with plastics. The fertility issue for men and the predicting of men being completely infertile by 2045, a lot of that research is based on the plastics that we consume.
I think we have to get into that on a later stage.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
We'll talk about that on the next episode, along with the training, balancing cardio, strength work, and the rest. Moodi, again, thanks so much for your time, brother.
Absolute
Really
pleasure. Appreciate
it. I hope you all enjoyed that. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you to everyone that sent in those questions. Sorry for those that we couldn't get to, but we'll definitely answer as many questions next time on the show. Thanks again.